Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 after what's been another exciting sprint shootout qualifying, our second ever sprint shootout qualifying. And I've got to say, I really like them. I love the first one. This second one was fantastic, especially that SQ1 session. Amazing. We'll get into all of it right now. Make sure you subscribe, of course. This is our first video of the day. We'll be back later on with the coverage of the sprint race. But let's talk about sprint Shootout, and what was a damp track to start with, a bit of a drying line. There was a bit of discussion throughout the grid as to what tyres to go on. Majority went for the softs, a couple on the mediums, but it was the Williams team who started out on the inters, but only did one outlap for a side, and that wasn't the best idea. Came in and changed onto the softs. But it was Magnussen, Verstappen and Bottas who went out on the mediums in comparison to everyone else who went on the softs. And at the very start we discovered that Carlos Sainz had a brake-by-wire issue which had him returning to the pits with his brakes basically on fire. It looked like that was the end of the day for Carlos Sainz. I'll come back to that one later on. Sergio Perez gets his lap time deleted for track limits for old time's sakes. And then Russell comes in to pit from the softs to the mediums. With 5 minutes to go, the bottom looked like this. There was Gasly, Bottas, Zhou, Sargent, and then Carlos Sainz with no time set. Now it looks like Leclerc was impeding Piastri on like the second or third last corner before that big swooping right-hander. I imagine he'll get a penalty for that, if I'm being honest. Looking at it, it looks like an open and shut case, really. But with 1 minute and 43 seconds to go, Carlos Sainz gets out of the pits. Incredible work from the Ferrari team here. He means he'll get one lap and one lap only to get out of SQ1, and he goes and puts in the fastest time of the session. It was an incredible thing. I actually cheered out loud watching it because it was so impressive. Real great stuff from the Ferrari lads. But it does mean a hectic final minute or so of SQ1, and that's what I love about this session is people are just constantly out there setting lap times. The track is constantly getting quicker. Times are tumbling all the time. You don't know who's going to be where until the final lap they set. It reminds me a bit of like towards the last few laps of like an Indy 500 where there's someone at the front, but you don't know if they're still going to be at the front because anyone can happen, especially in this first session. But the ones who we will be losing are Zhou in 16th, then it was Piastri, Lewis Hamilton in 18th place, Valtteri Bottas in 19th, Logan Sargent in 20th, Charles Leclerc was in 15th, only just made it through. Initially I thought he wasn't going to make it, but he did just make it through. But the big shock here was Hamilton. He set a time that was good enough for about 6th place, but had to get rid of it because of track limits. And on his last lap, he had a lot of traffic, nothing he could really do. He'll start the sprint race later on from 18th place. And now this when Russell comes over the radio and says he has a hydraulics issue. We'll get into that as we go into SQ2. But yeah, this session was fantastic. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I think I prefer shootout qualifying than regular qualifying. If you compare today's qualifying from yesterday's qualifying, I think there was a lot more excitement for me from today, just because it was constant action all the time. The track is getting quicker. It's even better on a track like this, which is a short track. You can get lots of laps in. When we go to somewhere like Spa and we have the shootout sprint qualifying there, I don't think it'll be as entertaining because that's such a long lap. But for a track like this, maybe like a track like Monza, I don't think we're having a sprint. We're having a sprint at Monza, but like tracks like that, a lot shorter, fast-paced tracks. I think these type of shootout qualifying work really well. Going into SQ2 now, and just as the session starts, we had a power cut, which was fantastic. When it came back, we had about 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go on the session. So anything that happened before that, I haven't got a clue. Anyway, George Russell is out of the session with an issue. He will start the sprint race from 15th place. They weren't able to fix it, so he's done. 2 minutes to go, the bottom like this. It was Yuki, Leclerc, Gasly, De Vries, and then Russell. But, as we all know with a sprint shootout, it goes all over the place. So the ones that we lost from SQ2 were Russell, of course, with no time. He'll be starting 15th. Then it was De Vries, Yuki, Gasly, and Albon. Gasly was not happy at the end of that there. But the big story, Sergio Perez actually made it through to the final part of qualifying. Fantastic stuff. I mean, it probably doesn't count because it's a sprint thing, but he did it nonetheless. There's a replay afterwards though of Nico Hulkenberg came in for a tyre change, and he actually hit the tyre that was taken off the car as he came out, bounced up in the air, hit the thing that goes above the car to tell you when it's safe to go or not, then landed back down and carried on. They're being investigated for an unsafe release of the Haas team. I don't think they should get a penalty for that, because they weren't really the only person they kind of impeded or damaged was themselves. They didn't have an unsafe release and block someone else, so I think they should be okay with that. Maybe a fine or something, I don't know, but in terms of race position, I think they should be fine. We go through the SQ3. Let's just run you through the top 10 as it happens. So, in 10th place was Kevin Magnussen, 9th Ocon, 8th Stroll, 7th Alonso, 6th was Leclerc, 5th was Sainz, 4th for Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas, an incredible 3rd place for Lando Norris. Sergio Perez does it in 2nd place, and Max Verstappen claims his 2nd pole position of the weekend. Some really good stuff in there. I mean, Sainz for me was the man of qualifying, especially that SQ1, and there's so much pressure to have one lap and do it as well as he did. Fantastic stuff. Norris and Hulkenberg, incredible performances from both of them in two cars that shouldn't be in the top 4. They've got them into the top 4. I imagine in the race they will be going backwards, but for now we shall celebrate their good positioning here. Perez got over what was happening yesterday, put it on the first row, in 2nd place. The first ever time at the Red Bull Ring that the front row will be accompanied by 2 Red Bull cars. Incredible stuff. Really, really enjoyable session. And now what I've done here is I've taken everyone's position from yesterday and everyone's position from today, and we're going to compare them in a segment I like to call What a Difference a Day Makes. So there are actually 2 drivers who qualified in the exact same position yesterday and today. Now the first one may be a bit more obvious. It's Max Verstappen, who qualified first in both sessions, but the second one is Fernando Alonso, who qualified 7th in both sessions. There's a few people who've changed by just one position. So Lando Norris, he gained a position into shootout qualifying. Albon lost 1 position. Zhou gained 1 position. And then let's talk about some of the bigger losers here. So Sainz lost 2 places, as did Stroll, as did Logan Sargent. We also have someone like Charles Leclerc, who lost 4 places. Gasly lost 3. Russell lost 4. Piastri lost 4. Bottas lost 5. But the big loser from sprint qualifying is Lewis Hamilton, who qualified 10 places lower than he did yesterday. Going on now to the bigger winners of the day. Yuki Tsunoda has gained 3 places, as has Esteban Ocon. Nico Hulkenberg gained 4 places. We have Nick de Vries, who's gained 6 places. And then we go to Kevin Magnussen, who gained 9 places across the 2 qualifying sessions. And then the biggest winner, though, is Sergio Perez from 15th to 2nd, 13 places ahead of where he qualified yesterday. So that is the difference a day can make here in Formula 1. That's all we've got time for sprint qualifying. Let me know what you think of it, because I am in love with this. I think it's fantastic. If anything, I'm saying ditch regular qualifying and just do this, because that was really, really exciting stuff. Loved it a lot. As I said, we'll be back here later on today to talk about the actual sprint race that'll be going on. I think is it 3, half 3? We're back here after that race is done. So can't wait for that. And of course, we'll be here tomorrow for the main race, as well as all our F2 and F3 stuff. There was a really fun F3 sprint race this morning, and we're going to have an F2 sprint race in a few minutes as well. So lots of exciting stuff going on in the world of Formula 1 this weekend, and they'll be carrying on onto this channel. So make sure to subscribe, because we'll discuss it all. I'll see you then. Goodbye.